Welcome to episode 2 of, I think, what's going to be a 3-part series, getting this budget rear bumper installed on the budget crawler. So you can see we've got the bumper all painted up now. I'm debating whether or not I want to go back and put some bed liner on here, but that's not what today's episode is about. We'll see more of that in the next episode. Today what we're going to look at is how this bumper attaches to the back of the frame. Now the way that the factory bumpers on these things attach, there's 2 bolts that go right here, and then one that goes underneath on the bottom of the frame. And we do have all of those mounting points on our new bumper. But if we take a look at the side profile on this rear cross member here, we can see it's basically just sheet metal, and that is not strong enough for what I want this thing to do. Which is where these things come into play. And if you're not familiar with what these are frame bumper tie-in kits. Basically, we got the 2 holes right here that line up with the 2 holes that bolt to the bumper. And then this one has 2 holes right here, which line up with holes on the frame. And that'll really strengthen this whole area up and transfer the forces going this way right directly to the frame rail, rather than redirecting through the sheet metal and then to the frame rail, and more than likely having the sheet metal bend. You can see I've got 2 different styles right here. One design I believe to be far superior to the other. These are both meant to go in the same location. So these, basically you can see these 2 holes line up. There's an angle cut right here to line up with the sheet metal, kind of. And then this side ties into the frame. This one has 2 holes to tie into the frame. This one only has 1. This one has a reinforcement plate right here to keep the thing from bending. This one does not. This one has a compound bend right here to help clear the welds that attach the frame rail to the cross member. This one does not. So overall, I'd say this style is far superior to this style. However, this one is going on my other Jeep, my V8 swapped Wrangler. I bought this specifically for that, and that's where this is going to go. This one came in a box of parts that I got along with another Jeep I bought a while ago. Never ended up installing it, and no longer have that Jeep, so it's going to go on this one. But we're going to try to beef it up a little bit to match this one. Now, I have no idea what brand this one is, but this one is a Swag off-road brand, and despite the fact that I have never installed it, I certainly would not hesitate to buy another set of these again. Now, despite the fact that I didn't pay anything for this because it came with another Jeep, like I said, I would like to mention that it wouldn't be too difficult to come up with something like this really cheap otherwise. So if I didn't have this, maybe I would have gone down to the welding shop and tried to find a piece of 4" by 4" square tubing with 3/16 or 1/4" wall, and then basically cut this piece out, and we would have had the pre-bent 90 because it was the square tubing. I could have also just taken a piece of flat stock, gone down to the local welding shop as well, and had them bend a 90 in it, because the shop that is near me will do stuff like that for you. Just throw them a couple bucks and they'll bend stuff up for you as long as it's not too complicated. So probably for 20 bucks or less I could have made a set of these, but that would have been a significant use of time, and we're saving a little bit of time and money by using the ones that I already have. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this thing fitted up. The first problem we're running into is that this thing doesn't even fit. This angle that's cut right here was cut way too shallow. It should have been up, something like that. So we're going to have to take care of that so we can even make sure these holes will line up. Much better fit. All the bolt holes line up, so I think we can go ahead and figure out a little gusset to stick in here. And we'll weld that up, do the other side, paint them, and should be a pretty quick project here. And I'm all welded up. Now it's time for a quick cleanup with a wire wheel, and we'll be ready for paint. And here's the final product. Came out pretty nicely. And if you want to see these things installed on the Jeep, go ahead and stay tuned for the third part of this bumper series. Now, as far as costs go, like I said, I already had these frame bumper tie-in brackets from another Jeep that I owned a couple years ago, and they just kind of came with it, and I never ended up installing them. So I didn't actually pay anything for those because I think I would have paid the same price for the Jeep that they came with, whether or not they came with that Jeep. So I'm going to put a dollar amount to zero right there. And like I said, there are some pretty easy ways to get around having to go out and buy pre-made brackets. You can buy some 4-inch by 4-inch square tubing and cut them out of that, or even get some flat stock and have that bent up. There are plenty of options out there. So that was zero. The steel that I used to make the gusset on them was also just some scrap steel that I had laying around, and it really wasn't much even at that. So I think for $20, $30 tops, if I didn't have these materials, I could have gone out and got the steel and made them for that. And I think even $30 is kind of a stretch. So still would have been pretty cheap either way. The one thing I did have to pay for was the paint. I used a little bit of primer and then maybe a third of a can or so of black spray paint. So that brings our episode total to a whopping $2. And subsequently our total for the build to $2,817.55, all in, purchase price of the vehicle included. And so this is part 2 of what I think is going to be a 3-part series as far as getting this rear bumper all set. So stay tuned for part number 3, where we'll see everything come together. Still need to get the tire carrier cleaned up, replace the bearings on it, find some missing pieces to assemble the whole thing, and should be good to go. So as usual, always appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, feel free to subscribe, and thanks for watching.